Welcome, welcome, welcome. Active Minds podcast with Catriel Cesar Friday. I'm excited to be back. We've had a few days of rest, and we're here to hit the ground running immediately on the topic of manifest destiny. But before anything, if you've ever heard that term, it's not what you're thinking. That's not where we're going. It's more manned with destiny. So today I'm actually joined by Mike Chabot, a world-renowned health and fitness expert that has seen the light, essentially, and he's since pivoted and starting to focus on men's health, men's mental health, more not just their body, but realized that he had more to offer on the health, spiritual, mental side. And it's something that it has been happening. If you haven't noticed, like right now where men are, things are interesting. And I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't even try to broach this conversation with someone like Mike, because yes, when we talk about business, we talk about like all this stuff. If things aren't right at home, things are never going to be right at their office. Yeah, exactly. And I know you've seen that. So thank you so much for joining us, dude. Like I really enjoyed our conversation before we started. You had a lot of interesting points that I hope you don't discard them, because I'd love to cover them.
Sure, bro.
But the very first thing, man, is you started off something on the fitness space. And obviously, like you're it's a good way to bring people in. Yeah. I'm sure it's very easy. How many of those people that you brought in to work on their body did you notice were resistant to work on their mind?
Like I would say almost everybody.
Shit.
That's one thing, except people that do competition, because I used to compete and stuff. So the athletes are going to stick to the program, but you're still mentally fucked. So let's talk about it. When I was at the peak shape of my life, I was competing for Mr. Canada. I was also on steroids, not high dosage, but it's like you take steroids, you do things, and you're so mentally exhausted and you're mentally not there, that I was in the best physique, but I was depressed, and I was on my way to a bankruptcy.
How? I mean, if you don't want to talk, I understand. But what's that like, dude? Like being on roids, like what does it feel like? What is
steroids, like? I would say, in my opinion, TRT, so it's testosterone replacement therapy, is good. Every man as of 30 years old should do a testosterone replacement therapy. Okay. We hear a lot of story about balls and all that stuff. I think a lot of it is part of the myth. Like, if you have a good doctor that know what he's doing and stuff like that, you can still have kid. Don't worry.
And, really? You can be
yeah, bro, for sure. Like, it doesn't really matter if you do things the right way. If you do post cycle, if you're not abusing, and testosterone replacement therapy is going to be normally a very low dosage just to bring back your balance of testosterone. So a lot of men,
like a supplement, really.
Yeah, like a lot of men, the problem is that they have low testosterone, which cause depression. And as they're 30 years old, your testosterone start to decline, which is a major problem. And this is also, we are in a pandemic of testosterone right now. A lot of men don't have enough testosterone. The thing is, a lot of women, I was just at the biohacking conference, and there was a big speech that I heard about all the top doctors and all the top like people in the world in very different topic. But there was one guy that is like a guy for testosterone and all that stuff, and he was telling a very interesting point about all the women are taking, the pills for contraception and all that stuff. We know it's bad for their health, but what about our health? Because in USA, especially, I think all over the world, but mostly USA, I know for sure, we don't filtrate and we don't clean the water on those specific hormones. So we drink the water, we shower, we do things, and those hormones infiltrate the man's body, and it's fucking up our whole system. So I would say that if you do things properly, testosterone is good for you. On the other hand, a lot of competing athletes, they could abuse. They're not in the right space, and a lot of people go into competing either after a breakup or things like that. It's just a coping mechanism. So it's not
putting
bad.
All that hurt into the gym.
It's not bad, but I noticed that this doesn't go hand in hand if your mental health is good. I mean, you can have a very amazing physique. You can be in a good shape. But you need both. Like that's what I realized. So I don't need to be as big anymore. I don't really like that physique anymore now. I'm certified yoga, breath work. I do health. I do neuroscience. I like to study the body, and I want to be healthy on the inside and on the outside. And a lot of my clients, what happened through the years with thousands of clients, I noticed that people are not following up. They don't want to really eat the food. They don't want to do things, and it's not them. It's a subconscious mind, because it controls 95% of your actions. So that's where I was like, okay, just helping people. Normally they could stick for 6 months, they have amazing result, then they go out. Like you've been training, right? So you have on and off and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I've been on the off.
So
I've been on the off. Yeah,
it's
I can't
hard.
wait to get back in, dude.
It's
I'm
hard
so
to
pumped.
stay consistent, man.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people,
Yeah.
women included, like going to the gym and stuff, it's like if you don't make it a habit and put it in your subconscious pattern and stuff, it's people were not sticking. And as of 19 years old, I saw Tony Robbins and I started personal development. Even at 15 I started, but mostly at 19 I started reading more books and stuff. At that time I only wanted money and stuff like that, but I knew I wanted to be kind of a new version of Tony Robbins, like my own Tony Robbins and stuff.
Okay. So your own champion, your own hero.
Yeah. Like it's good to have inspiration, guys, but you can take certain quality of people that you respect and you make your own persona out of it. So
true.
I knew I wanted to kind of be like inspiring people and doing the work that he's doing in my own way. And I was like, what can I be one of the best in the world? And it was fitness and health. And I knew I needed a tool for future. But then I realized that a lot of people, even if they were healthy and in amazing physique, mentally they were not present. And not only mentally, spiritually and stuff like that, they were not happy and fulfilled. So yeah, it was a big problem.
Have you ever heard of the term manifest destiny by any chance?
No.
So manifest destiny, it has a negative connotation to it because of its inception was basically the Puritans, the Pilgrims, that came to America, the founding fathers, right? They came here like, it's I got to conquer because I'm owed this and this is my place in the world. And we've seen it in other places like the Third Reich and so on and so on. But there's something in that even in that, the way it was used negatively can be used positively. And basically, there's this sense of inevitability. It's inevitable. I'm going to conquer all. I'm going to get my thing. But with your message, the reason I brought it up and why I think that I would like to broach this topic is because there is this like life by design thing. Or like some people like to say, like you brought up Andrew Tate earlier, and something I heard him say was like, you got to break the matrix. I've heard others say, change your programming. All it's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
All those things are the same thing. Basically, design things your way, and it also requires for your foundation to be taken care of. You focus on the foundation. So, one of the things that comes to mind is, for example, there was a video, and I brought it up to you when you first walked in. I was like, hey, I saw a video that you did where it's you, but you're like, basically, oh look, somebody's ugly, ha ha ha, and you're like, nope, not my business. That comes from a place of foundation. Yeah. And when it comes to, it sounds like a rant at this point, but when it comes to where men are, especially let's talk about like 19 through 36, that weird window, right? You deal with that window a lot.
Yeah.
What is the main thing you're noticing that will help that group of men gain a foundation? Because right now they're being bombarded by a bunch of things. Depression is through the roof. I meet so many men. It's weird too. I meet so many men that are like afraid to say anything, to do anything. There's like this meekness. I'm not saying all of them. And then I see on the other side, guys label themselves alpha, or now there's a thing called sigma. But I see them doing the same thing as the other one. They're just doing it in a different way. So I guess long-winded thing to ultimately say, what do you think would be the first thing for that age group to focus on in terms of foundation? 19 through 36.
I would say don't let society pressure you. So society, and I was part of that pressure. Like you want to succeed young. You see all those now
Also
with social
porn.
media. You see all those young millionaire, young billionaire, like from tech company, from crypto, from this, from that. And I know you want women. I know you want a lot of things. I know you want a nice car, a nice house, all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's good pleasure, but don't let it control your life. That would be why men get depressed, because they compare themselves. They think that that's the only thing, that's happiness. And we talked about the Jim Carrey speech that he says, I wish everybody was rich and famous so they understand that it doesn't mean anything. If you're not happy inside, you're not going to be grateful for what's coming if you can't be grateful for what you have now. So I think pressure on men is enormous. And that's what I like about Andrew Tate's message. I know we were talking with Stu. The message can be seen as rough, but I've been studying psychology, neuroscience, and all that thing for 15 years. I know I can see the message behind. I know what he means, really. I know that this guy is a genius in marketing. He wants to trigger people because we are in a short spam society that only see a few things. But if you look behind the message, he took the bullet so men can regain their power. And I'm not saying that man is...
Would you consider him a martyr or a hero then, if that's the case? It sounds like I'll let you answer.
I mean, I wouldn't say hero. It just, he stood up and he said, if he's popular, it's because a lot of men felt the message. Like, it came right here. Like, a lot of, I believe in that we're all human. Women and men are equal in terms of we all deserve the same love and respect. But we have different role, and that's what I think he's trying to bring. It's like, if we go back to like the basic, we have different role, different force, different strength. Like, in my relationship, I know what my woman is better at, and I know what I'm better at, and she respect me in my strength, and I respect her in her strength. My company, Road to Abundance, I wouldn't have built it without her. Like, I know for a fact, and I thank her I'm super grateful for it, because she has a strength on some stuff like structure and all that thing. I'm a very intelligent man, and I have a lot of knowledge. I read so many books, did so many certification training and all that stuff, studying 3-4 hours a day for the last 12 years. But when it came down to putting it in structure and stuff, she helped me. She has her strength. We are different strengths. So I help her in her business to see different vision. And I think that's what we need to bring back. Saying that man is strong is not insulting woman. It's not saying that woman is weak. Like you said, the mentality of men's manifestation, the
manifest destiny. Yeah, it's inevitable.
I think that being a king doesn't mean if I see myself as a king and I deserve the world and I want what's best and that's the life I'm creating for me, it doesn't mean you're shit. You can be your own king, bro. Like, I'll respect you, and you deserve too the best, and there's abundance. That's why my brand is called Road to Abundance. There's abundance for everyone.
There is enough,
and if I see you with a nice car and business, I'll respect you. And you know what? I'm going to ask you how you did it, bro. And I really want to learn from you because, bro, there's abundance everywhere. And I think men feel pressure, and even women, like, I can't speak as a woman because I'm not, in terms of the pressure that they feel either for business or whatever, but as men I can understand because I've been there, that we feel pressure to have amazing business, the car, this, that, and it's kind of expected for us to be like that.
That's true. Actually, that was one of the first things we talked about when you first came in, which was like the roles and responsibilities. And yes, there are social norms, and it doesn't matter where you go in the world, there's going to be, like, for example, I loved anthropology for years, and there is this place in Asia, specifically China. It's a small town where the women are technically the men, as in how, if we do reverse. So the women there can have children with as many men as they want. The men have a lower place in society, and the men don't actually know which one is their son. In fact, yeah, exactly. So if us three were here, we would all be betrothed to like a woman or like two women, whatever, and then they would have kids, and then we all communally raise that child. So like a boy or a girl would be raised by like 4 or 5 different men, and then their mother. And then the mother can send us away at nighttime. So when you look at that, right, on one side of the world, and you see how things are here, you're like, whoa, like, that's kind of cool.
Very interesting.
Like, the same planet, just completely different worlds. But stuff like that lets me know that things are possible. Change is possible. Yeah. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, even generationally, we will see that, especially in business, we will see that, where people be like, no, I need my place. If you look at things now with equality and equity and all that other stuff, and we're shaking up how businesses work, I mean, I probably will get shit for this, but like, I've learned, experience has taught me that if there's not a woman at the helm of a company, whether it be operations, growth, whatever, I'm a little skeptical. Because my experience, like, I grew up with badass women. Like, all of them had their own thing. So as I grew up, and like some of them are like, oh, I can't do that because I'm a woman. I'm like, that's weird. And then I would see men say that, like, oh, she can't do it because I'm like, my experience is different. Yeah. And I bring that up because you've had a different experience. Yeah. What has your experience been like in the business side of things?
Okay, so I understand that women are needed in business. You can't just run a business based of men.
I mean, like, look at your business. You literally said, like, I had all this knowledge and she helped me structure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So each sex or each person, whatever, has their own strength. Yeah. What I've seen is women are emotional, very emotional. Their emotional behavior, we know it. It's been proven. They react more emotionally to things than men. And an example, a basic example, I'm not saying every company, I'm not saying women are like, I'm not talking bad about, like, I was working for TD Bank, and I remember clearly something, a situation that women were in charge, right? And it was in the Montreal Center, and Toronto, it was a men's center, and we were competing like very hard. And women in charge in the there was some decision that were made out of emotion that shouldn't have been made. Like I remember one guy, I remember him because he was the only guy beating me in the stats. Bro, this guy was a killer, like 600% as his objective and stuff. He was a little overweight, like 300-400 pounds, but he was doing the work, and it was a call center and stuff like that. The guy was also doing benevola, is it the word in English? Like when you do free work for people, like for the company, non-profit kind of work.
Shit, there's a word for that. But yes, I know what you're saying, yeah.
So
shit, I can't remember the word right now. Yeah.
So he was doing all that. He was, bro, employee model. And there was a job that was offered for a resource officer. Resource officer is someone that need to be very knowledgeable, because all the other employees are calling those people to know what's up. Like, hey, I'm having trouble with this client. This is the situation. And I remember clearly, this guy didn't get the promotion. And then I was friend with all the boss and everyone. And I'm going and I'm like, how the fuck this girl got the promotion? The answer, you want to know what it was? She's going to get a kid. She need a raise. And I'm like, wow, this is bad. Like, this is bad. I'm not saying that all the women are reacting like that in business.
No, that was very good. That was something you witnessed.
But that's what I witnessed. And I remember, I can tell you a situation. One of my best friend now, when I met him first time, we almost got into a fight. It was this close. I was out of a bar and we started like pushing each other. The cup was there. I'm like, you're very lucky today. And 1 year later, I'm applying for a job. He's the manager. So I arrive, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, wow, this is bad.
He looked at you. You're very lucky today.
I look at him. He looks at me. I'm like, is it what I think? He's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. He's like, and then he looked at my skills and he's like, you're hired. Why? Because he didn't think of emotion. He thought about, am I good for the business? And I know for myself, I can only speak for myself. I'm not like, again, I don't have this. I can speak out of experience. That's what I can do. It's not a judgment. It's experience. Like he could put aside his feeling and hire me. And I know based on my experience that sometimes women have a hard time doing that if they're emotional. I've seen it. I have two sister friends, women get into a fight. It's the end of the world. Like how many times I had arguments with my friend. Like the next day we're cool. Like, fuck, bro, you shouldn't have done that. Fuck off. And then that's it.
So a few things I want to unpack that. My retort to that is that my experience has taught me that if we, so there's, you know this because you've done yoga, breathwork, etc. So you know, like there's masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Both sex have it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I learned to embrace the feminine one and find a little bit of balance, that's when I was more powerful.
Of course.
And the same thing with like my partners in my life and stuff. Like I've noticed the same thing. Like when they're like misaligned, like it can be the emotional one. Cause like, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble. When I moved here to Miami, I have never met more bitches in my life that were men. I meet meet more bitches
like
here.
Like Tina were strong, you mean? Like
no, bitches as in like emotional. Like they're needy and emotional.
Oh, men that are bitch. Okay, because you said bitch that are men.
Bitches.
So I was
no, I said bitches. I've met men that are bitches. And but I realized it's because there's just a misalignment there. Because like I've met guys that just have their shit together, male and female, and they're okay with it. Right? And there's like there are some men that will tell themselves like, oh, that's like I'm not gonna do the feminine energy, blah, blah, blah. But you need that. Like, why do you think some football players learn ballet? Why do you think some wrestlers learn ballet?
Yeah.
I can go in, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like I've learned that if there's a balance, then you're amazing. Like one of my very, very close friends, near and dear to me, her name is Catherine. She works on movies and makes shows and so on. And she recently had something like that where she was like so much in one that she was like, oh fuck, I gotta revisit the other one. And guess what? Everything changed for her now that she's changed. She can work any room. She could talk to anybody. She could work any deal. She can make it happen. Which goes back to my experience. That's been my experience is that if you have that energy, like balance, oh my God, dude, you are unstoppable.
I agree 100%. What I was saying with this example is that different reality, different experience. Yeah. So it doesn't mean, that's why I say that it's not about judging men or women. It's about empowering both sex. It's about finding the balance. And yes, of course, I feel like we're kind of a little lost as men in society now.
Well, that's why I said what I said. Like I believe I've witnessed and experienced that men can be emotional too, but in a different way because of something called nature versus nurture. Here's what I mean. On the average, societal norms will push a man to be more logical because it's more solutions. Yeah. Give me solutions, right? So that nudges them in that way. Because like, how many women have you met that have been pushed to make all the decisions by themselves, and they almost come across as more masculine.
Yeah.
Right?
But very in the masculine energy.
Yeah,
Like my
that's
woman
the nature
was a
versus
very
nurture.
business oriented woman. She needed to grow strong.
Yeah.
And she was empowered. And then when I came in, I was very balanced. Like I do yoga, I do spirituality, I do a chakra. I yield my masculine and my feminine energy. And when I do breath work, I cry every time. It's a release. It's probably the only time that I'll cry. I'm not very emotional in the rest of the thing, but I release there. I'm still in touch with both. Like you said, it's a balance. That's what you need. And I feel like a lot of men are pushed either on one extreme.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be extremes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when my partner, she was very in a masculine energy. And when I arrived, she could tap in and just let herself be in her feminine energy. Because I brought
balance.
Yeah, that's why I say that
dude.
It's about empowerment. That's where she recognized my strength. Now she doesn't need to be in control and logical about everything because I'm in charge. And I'm not saying I'm in charge like I'm the boss. You do as I say.
So you took your role and responsibility. She took her role and
Yeah,
responsibility.
I came in and I brought the masculine, strong masculine energy, and I'm balanced in masculine and feminine. But I took that role in the relationship, and she could get in touch with her feminine, and now we're a perfect balance. And like I said, she brought me a lot of good stuff. She's helping me tremendously, and I'm doing the same for her. So it's about empowerment.
What you're saying brings up a broader subject that we can get into it, or maybe we don't have to. But so usually the hierarchy, people will prioritize a hierarchy rather than a collaboration. So, and the reason I'm saying this is because, like, look, when I was in the Army, we had certain roles and responsibilities that we did have people like, I can do it too. And like, notice I didn't say what gender. They were like, I can do it too. And then they couldn't, right? Because like a 5'7", 185 guy from Kansas can't do the same thing that a 5'11", 265 pound from Brooklyn can do.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. And in the Army, I had to learn how to put people in certain places.
Yeah.
Right? And let's say I would have closed my eye and not do gender and I would just place someone based on skill. Very often I would find that like the hierarchy didn't matter. It just mattered like what role, skill, and value do you add, and just go from there. And I'm mentioning that specifically because when I look at what you just said, I have my role and my responsibility. She has her role and responsibility. Who's in charge? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
You're in charge of what you're in charge of. She's in charge of what she's in charge of. It doesn't really hurt us though to try that out because like I see some, I'm gonna go ahead and say incels that really like run with the whole like I need to be in charge like of what, what, you know, like you live in your mom's basement. Not all of them live in their mom's basement, but you get my point. There is this weird thing that people think that you need to defeat the other one to be in charge. That's not again, that's kind of retarded, backwards.
Again, what I will say might shock some people or whatever, but again, you run your relationship and you do your business however it fits for you. I'm in charge, and she know I'm in charge in the relationship in terms of I value her opinion, but I feel like I have the last word. It not on everything, but I feel like it's like that. Is it perfect? Is it how it should be? I don't know, bro, because there's no rules.
But let me ask you something. Is it the same way for her? Like, does she have the last word in her affairs?
In her affair, what do you mean?
Like, for example, you're in charge of your life. I'm just curious now.
Yeah.
You're in charge of your life.
Yeah.
Is she in charge of her life?
Oh yeah, of course.
But you see, and I'm glad that we're bringing that distinction because that's where people have that emotional response to these conversations. They think Mike runs that woman, but you're saying no, Mike runs Mike.
Yeah.
I have a partner that helps me.
Yeah.
My partner runs her life. I just help her.
Yeah.
But you see, that's where people get lost.
Like
that nuance gets lost.
Like I love her. She can do whatever, bro. If she want to be blonde, if she want to brunette, if she want to do things, bro, she's her own person. Like I respect her. I don't control her. She do whatever. When I say I'm in charge, it's she trusts me in that. That is based on how you want to do your relationship. It doesn't mean it's the perfect thing. You can run your relationship in another way. I do mine this way. If I'm like, hey babe, we're gonna move to Texas, and she let me find the house and she let me do things and I do things my way, she's okay with it. Like she agreed on that. Could it change? Yeah. And does it mean that's the way that everybody should function? No. There's very successful business that run a certain way and there's very successful business that run a different way. So if in your relationship you want to say that you both come into agreement of certain thing, that's okay. We decided when we got into a relationship, we sit down and we talked about boundaries and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, this is how I view relationship. How do you view relationship? And then she told me, we agreed, and then we're functioning like that. And for us, it's the perfect relationship, perfect match. We never have fight. We talk, we discuss. Communication is the most important thing in
I
relationship.
want you to listen to that right there, because that's kind of why I wanted to elaborate, because some places will cut it short at that one. I'm in charge, whatever, and then like it's a soundbite, and everybody's like, "No, misogyny." No. Listen to what he said. He's in charge of Mike.
Yeah.
He's in charge of Mike's roles and responsibilities, and his partner is in charge of her roles and responsibilities. And when it came to the dynamic, they sat down and had an honest conversation about their perspectives, their approaches, and the dynamic. There's a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy that we talked about.
Yeah.
It's really amazing, by a guy, author named Glover, Robert. I think it's Robert Glover, but it's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. I highly advise that you check it out, because that one, in terms of men, right? You don't have to be the dickhead cowboy to be a man. Like, honestly, you just don't. And there's like this, like, something about when you have your core that you're just like, you're fine. Like you said before, like some guys are all worried about money and women and money and women. And there's something my mom told me a long time ago that is still, and it's not her original quote. She would always tell me, if you live your life chasing women, you'll always find yourself short of money. If you live your life chasing money, you'll never find yourself short of women. And it's funny because shit, she's right. You know, but anywho, I digress.
For sure, like and we talked. I suggested like a reading for you. It was The Way of a Superior Man, which is
Way of a Superior Man.
David Dida, amazing relationship coach, and he's explaining for a man how women think and what's their vision and stuff. And the book was amazing. And I bought Dear Lover, which is the woman version, to understand how men think.
Dear Lover.
Yeah, that's for men should read it too. Like, we should always see both side of the coin. And what I want to focus my work on, I help women and men, but I focus on men because I can talk from experience that chasing women, like you said, and chasing what society tell us, and it's not going to bring you happiness. Even if you have sex with so many women, if you have the car, if you have this and that, that's what led me to depression and bankruptcy. It's not focusing on me, myself, empowering myself, and wanting more women and getting lost. And I felt like, for me, it was kind of an addiction. Women was coming easily in my life. I'm a good looking man. I had easiness with women. I'm very sociable. So I kind of abused it, and it led me into depression and that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what we see, you know, like Dan Bilzerian and all those guys on yacht and cars, and then women. And I think men get lost in chasing everything. So gratefulness, and I have a journal of for gratefulness that I just launched, and I do it every day. I say things that I'm grateful in the present moment, because if you can't be grateful for what you have now, you won't be grateful for what's coming. And I think everybody's chasing so hard to get things so fast, and when they achieve it, it's so empty. And my question to you is, if you think about, let's say, talking about happiness, right? If you think about your most, like your happiest moment in your life, what was it?
I have a few in mind.
Like, tell us one or two.
The first one that came to mind was seeing my daughter be born.
Awesome.
That was definitely a highlight of my life. Another one was seeing my son take his first steps.
That's cool.
Another one that comes to mind immediately was being able to give my kids. There was a moment that I had not too long ago, when I realized my kids couldn't relate to me, like, because they're little, they're kids, and they couldn't relate to me, and I was so filled with joy, because I'm like, they cannot relate to me because I gave them something better than I had. So those are the first ones that come to mind.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so most of your happiest moment, and it's like that for everybody. Like, yesterday I did a breathwork session. So I'll be hosting breathwork for people that don't know what it is. It's amazing. It's like, meditation is really hard for a lot of people. It's a very advanced practice because a lot of people can't even shut down the mind. So it's hard to meditate. But breathwork, don't worry about it. You won't think about anything. You're focused on breathing. Yeah. It's like Wim Hof, but a little bit different. It's more intense. Yeah. Amazing. And I had probably the best experience ever in my life. Like, it's because breathwork produced DMT. So it's what's in psilocybin. Yeah. So, like, very deep, profound experience. And yesterday, when I connected with Source through breathwork, I was like in that space that I was the happiest I've ever felt. Like, I felt like I was on MDMA, and it was like, wow, natural, like nothing. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And when you think about your happiest moment, it's not related to the car and the house and all that shit. Like it's cool. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, my happiest moment is when I fuck all those girls. No, it's not related to that at all. Like when I think about happy, I think about when I spend time with my girlfriend and my dogs, and I'm thinking about when I do things like breath work, yoga, the feeling that I get when I'm just present. When I'm present in the moment, like you were present watching your son take his step, you were present, you were like, if you were focused making million and you didn't show up at the hospital to see your woman giving birth, you would have missed that moment.
True.
So a lot of people are so focused on money and stuff like that. That's why I want to help successful men to reconnect, because I was there, I had the Mercedes, the nice fancy apartment. I wasn't happier. Like, it's not because I have it. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to have abundance. It's okay to go for the Ferrari if you want a Ferrari. It's okay to go for the nice $1 million house. But be grateful for what you have, and remember that this doesn't bring you happiness. You have to be present and be grateful for what you have now if you want to be able to go to the next level.
Whoa. Wait. If you're watching this and enjoying it, press pause for a second. Go to activemindsclub.com. Again, activemindsclub.com.
Here you will have membership access to our exclusive networking events, as well as behind-the-scene access to our guests where you yourself can ask them questions.
Not to mention, at these events and in the community, you're going to have access to the very mentors that are here sitting with us, as well as many, many more that are doing cool things in stocks, marketing, cars, real estate, where we're going to have you have access to education, insights, how-tos, all things that you can apply to your life and business. That requires, maybe I'm wrong, that it seems to me that requires a level of clarity, as in, like, be specific in how you, so like, I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you're at a restaurant and they bring you the wrong order. Yeah. Like, do I send it back? Or do I just like, no, it's fine. Yeah. You just like, I sit there and eat it. Like, I feel like it requires that bit of clarity and assertiveness of like, no, I'd like this.
That's,
you know,
like,
and there's
boundaries. Like
exactly.
We said, like, so giving you a pure example that with the meal, like with women, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And same thing when you chase apartment. Whatever you want to manifest and attract in your life will have a way to give you 3 on 5 of what you're looking for, then 4 on 5, just to see, yo, Mike, are you ready for the 5 on 5 or not?
Oh, I see.
Are you ready, man? I'm going to send you that woman that have almost everything on your boundary list, almost everything you're looking for. And it happened to me twice before my actual woman. Mm-hmm. I could have been in a relationship with them, but I was like, there is something missing. And then people, if you're difficult, you're never going to manifest. Don't listen to them. You can create your own reality. Mm-hmm. And life will test you. And probably you can relate as an entrepreneur, as a guy that is successful, that sometime you had a downfall happening or something happening that you thought was a bad thing, and then led to something amazing that was so much better. And I have this philosophy of, you are where you're supposed to be, and everything happened how it's supposed to be. And when you arrive today in the podcast, you're like, fuck, it's that kind of day that nothing happened like how it's supposed to be in this. And then I was like, yeah, bro, it's okay. Like,
yeah, that was fun.
And we're like, no stress about it, man. Like, even if we started the podcast late or whatever, it's like, I'm not rushed. Like, okay, it was supposed to be, and there's no point stressing. Like, I had something that after, I'll just delay it. Like, everything happened how it's supposed to happen, and there's no point stressing about it. And I feel people are very stressed, and they forget. That was my main thing for years. I forgot to live in the present moment. And there's a powerful book by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I don't know if you read it.
Yeah, you're not the first, and I doubt you'll be the last to mention that book.
Bro, it's amazing, and it's just to remind yourself that there's only the present moment. People live in the past or in the future. If you're depressed, it's because you live in the past or in the future, because you don't have what you want to have, so you're depressed. And if you always think about your ex or things that go wrong, or people that live in the past, I used to be that guy, blah, 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 you're living in the past. Bro, let it go.
Speaking of living in the past, that requires you to put yourself in a different time and frame. And there's been 2 people that come to mind, and I brought them up to you, is Nora Vincent and Anna Akana.
Yeah.
They both are women that put themselves in men's shoes to see what it was like. And it was funny because, like, they sound like Andrew Tate at the end of their thing. But I wonder how many men have done that. How many men have tried what Nora, and by the way, if you've never heard of Nora Vincent is was rest in peace,
feminist.
rest in peace, was a feminist that did a social experiment where she went undercover and posed as a man. She was supposed to do it for 24 months, but she stopped her experiment 18 months in. She did face a lot of mental health issues, and it eventually ended up taking her own life. And Anna Kana is a content creator that is bisexual, and she did a social experiment where she said, you know, all my guy friends say that this is what it's like. I want to see it. And then she went and started dating women. At the end, she made a digest. Yeah. So that's in case you've never heard of them. But I do wonder, like, what are the guys right now doing out there? Because there's something about the scientific method that allows us to chuck all assumptions and start anew.
So to answer, I'll answer it in two different segments. So I found it very interesting. And as I said previously, it's like I can only talk per my experience, because everybody, like if you ever read The Four Agreement by Miguel Ruiz or the Voice of Knowledge or stuff like that, he's saying that everybody create their own movie. You see the movie how you want to see it. So think about if we're in a room right now. It's like if there's a theater, and if someone is looking, he's looking through your eyes, and the next theater is my eyes, and the next theater is two eyes. So everybody has a different perception of life based on their past experience, knowledge, whatever they bring, whatever is in the past for them. They see life as like that. So when we as a man talk about women, it's through our perception. So that's why it's hard to be like, this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. Like this is what I experience. And I know for a fact that being a man is really hard in society. I can tell, because I was there, and I know a lot of successful men, and I know a lot of men that didn't have success, and it's really hard. So I can understand why she said it crushed our identity being a feminist, and then realizing that everything was kind of a lie. And don't get me wrong, maybe it's super hard for a woman too. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I like I mentioned previously, to read both women and men's book. Like I also wrote a book, Estelle something. She's a French coach for relationship, Estelle Perez, and I wrote her book. Like I read about everything because I want to see the both perception. But at the end of the day, I can only talk from my experience as a man. That's why I focus on helping men. I do have clients as women, and I changed their life. Like I have testimonial that girls are like, wow, you changed my life. Because what I teach is not about being a woman, a man or a woman. It's about being present, being spiritually aligned, being vibrating at a higher frequency. And when you do, that's where I want to bring the second point. When you start vibrating at that higher frequency, men or women, doesn't matter. You will attract what's good in this world. Good people, good business partner, and good life partner, relationship partner. So no matter if you keep talking about you attracting, I don't like to say the word shit people, because it's not about the people, it's about where they are in their journey. So let's say you're a different place in your journey than those people, and you keep attracting it. And that's why I stopped kind of dating women for like almost 6 years. I was still seeing, like, in terms of, we all have needs. I was still seeing women, and I was not closed, but I wanted to be the version I wanted to be. So I want to attract this woman here. Okay, I have to be that man here, because if she's looking at me at 24 fucking woman doing things, she doesn't want that guy. Trust me, she wants that powerful man. She doesn't want the fuck boy. And and not even a fuck boy, because I was honest with girl, but it's like she's looking at me and she's like, it's not the man I want this man. So if I want this woman, I have to be this man. So same for women. If you want this man, you have to be this woman. You have to provide value. So when I got in tune with my higher self and I became that man, now the women I was seeing and dating were a whole different breed. It was women that I was attracting. So if you don't like who you're dating, men or women, and if you don't like your job and stuff like that, it's coming from you. You're the only person to blame, because it reflects your reality and who you are. If you don't like it,
that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, though. Yeah. Because like what you attract isn't always what you should let in. One, but number two, that's a tough pill, because like,
people like to blame, bro. People like to blame.
Yeah, like if you look what you just said, if we take it and we dissect it, it's like, okay, the man or the woman I'm attracting is a reflection of me. Yeah. The job and the money I'm attracting, and so on and so on. You're like, oh, fuck. Like, but before we get into that, how did you know that? Because you just use the example, like if a woman's here looking at you, you're like, I need to be this to meet and match her. Fucking amen. I love that. Yeah. But what did it look like? How did you know that you were here? How did you quantify that, qualify that?
So when I was like a different place in my life, Like, I attracted a bunch of women that I was very physical, like I wanted girls to look a certain way, and I could just have sex with a woman because she was hot, not because she was smart or anything like that, which changed through the years. Like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, like if I don't like a conversation,
I'm a whore.
Yeah, I'm a full whore. No. But if I don't like a conversation with you, why I'm having sex with you? I don't even like your energy. I just want you to shut up and we have sex. So, wow, this is wrong. Like, I shouldn't do things that way. It's like, I don't like you, but let's be business partner. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, that's enough.
So that's when I realized that I was doing things the wrong way. And for me, I was seeking validation. Could be coming from healing trauma from either my mom, or could be trauma from the past. Everybody has their own thing. From 0 to 7 years old, you build your personality and you build your subconscious mind. And then you evolve in life with that. Knowing that, it's like I had to look at myself. Like, so all the women, the 5 girlfriend I had, except the first one, they all cheated on me. All of them. And the last one was a straight up prostitute, like having sex for money. I'm not saying it to be mean. I discovered it 2 months after I was in the relationship. I even forgive her. I was like, if you stop, we can build something. Like, I'm not perfect and it's okay. I forgive mistake. But she kept being a prostitute and behind my back. So I had to leave the relationship. But even there, it was hard for me. It took like a year and a half. And when I got done with the relationship, bankrupt and depressed, I was like, wait, like, she's not the only person to blame. I should have left a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Like, why did I inflict this to myself? So that's when I understood where I was and who I needed to become if I wanted to be that man. You know what I mean? So I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, all those women are a reflection of who I'm attracting. I need to change my thinking. I need to change the man that I am. I need to change my vibration in order to have what I want. And this is in business, this is for houses, this is for money, whatever. Like, as a business guy, you also hear it. It's like an investor mindset and like someone that is a spending mindset. So somebody's gonna be like, okay, Mike, I want to do your program. I'm like, okay, this is X money to do the program. Wow, that's a lot of money. That's a good investment, you mean? Like, this is an investment. It's not spending money. Buying your Louis Vuitton is a spending. Mm-hmm. Investing in yourself is an investment. Investing in your business is an investment. So different success rate, different talk. And you've probably seen it in business. So it's the same with relationship. So I understood where I was. And I was like looking at people, like I said. You look at people like Ed Cartole, Miguel Ruiz, Tony Robbins, like guys that I respect. And I'm like, what do they have in common? And I started studying them. I started reading their book. I started trying things. And one book that changed my life was The 4 Agreement, because I started living, when I got depressed and after all that, I started getting money. I was making good money, like back in the day, $150,000 a year. I had brand new Mercedes, brand new apartment, luxury life, especially in Montreal. It's a lot of money. And going to a restaurant 5 times a week, I was living the dream. And I was like, wow, what's next? Like, a bigger car, a bigger apartment. I'm kind of depressed. So I left for Bali, sold everything, left for Bali. And I found Miguel Ruiz's book at one point. And I read so many books, but reading book, if you don't apply it or really understand it and you just want to read for money, you're doing it wrong. It's like the first time I read Think and Grow Rich and now I'm reading it. Whoa, bro, it's totally different book. That's when you understand that you evolved. So from that day, I was like, I'm going to live my life on those 4 agreements. And we were talking about judgment at the beginning of the podcast, you know? And everybody judge. That there's 2 voices in your head. Mm-hmm. There's somebody that hear, this is your true self. And there's the voice talking, because who's hearing who's talking, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're going to notice that often the voice talking is not saying any good shit. Like, it's going to be like insecurity about the past or the future. I'm not good enough, this and that. And the I'm not good enough is going to fuck you up. And judgment, it's always going to come a thought or insecurity. Even when I do cold bath, before I go in the cold bath, every time I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I putting myself in the cold water? That voice will always be there. It's learning to control it and not let it dictate your life. So judgment will always be there. It's just, do I want to act on it or not? That's kind of like you evolve and you become that man. And looking at all those guys that inspire you, you can take the best that you like out of them and you can be, this is who I want to become. And this will help you to become the version you want to be. And then you know when you are. You know when you are.
Have you ever heard of a book called Shut Your Monkey?
No.
If you're resonating with anything that he's saying,
the
here,
monkey mind. The monkey
yeah,
mind.
exactly. There's something.
Okay,
There's a book called "Shut Your Monkey." Highly recommend it. It's a blue cover. It's a banana on it. You can't miss it. Shut Your Monkey. And it delves deep into that.
Yeah.
The book that gave, like, I guess my Edgar Ruiz moment was Anthony Bourdain, a book
heard
called
that
Kitchen
name.
Confidential. In that book, not only did I become a massive Anthony Bourdain fan, because one thing I had a problem with is, like, I've never had a celebrity that I'm like, I need to meet him. There's only been 3 people in my life ever that I can say I've always wanted to meet them. And one of them is Anthony Bourdain. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have the chance. I would be with ever. But that book for me
Is
was
he dead?
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he committed suicide.
Oh, shit.
Well, that's another topic, but some
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
he didn't. But yeah, his book Kitchen Confidential, his way of approaching life was so powerful to me that it definitely changed, because I traveled a lot, and I still travel, and he changed the way that I traveled. And his approach was always about meet people where they are. That's
Yeah.
where I learned that from. Meet
Yeah.
people where they are.
That's amazing.
Hear them out. Learn from literally everyone
Yeah.
around you. And he definitely inspired the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Hell, I even have, like, some of his, like, he even did comics, by the way, like comic books and stuff like that. But he was a chef. He was a former sex, drugs, and rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
And then the kitchen saved his life. Becoming a
being a
chef,
chef. Okay,
changed
yeah.
his life. Because there was an alchemy to food, and there's, like, he actually is the personification of something. I learned that the best way to learn a language or visit a new world is through love and food. And that was what he taught me, and I resonate
Can
with
relate,
that. Yeah. He actually is the reason that it's funny you mentioned Napoleon Hill. There's a book called Outwitting the Devil. Have you ever read that one?
No, from Napoleon?
Napoleon
I'll
Hill.
check it. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's basically a conversation with himself, really, but in the book he's personifying the devil and talking to him and sorry. But it's definitely something to explore. By the way, take a quick break as we're talking about this, and here are some of the books that we've mentioned so far. It's No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's Outwitting the Devil. It's Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. It's Shut Your Monkey. And one that you brought up is The Way of Superior Man.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Now.
Yeah, The Power of Now, sorry, by
I
Eckhart
have,
Tolle.
on my link on my bio, I have a bunch of book. I can add those too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's amazing. And, like, sharing something, being vulnerable here, it's like seeing myself as a smart guy and stuff. It's like sometime in the past, like, coming out of ego, I thought I was better than people. And then you're like, oh, I'm so much better. And then you don't take time to listen people. And that's what I'm still working on all that. It's like when I meet people, I'm still like, okay, everybody has something to teach you. We're all one consciousness. Like, listen to that person instead of judging. Because, like I said, nobody's perfect. Everybody's kind of judging. Everybody has their preconceived idea. So that's what I'm working every day. It's kind of like listen to people and be present. And in order to listen to people, you need to be present. You need to be like, okay, what does this person has to teach me? And hearing not only when people can bring you something, like in terms of finance or money or whatever, but just being there for people, like, and listening. And I was kind of like you. I never, like, idol people or celebrity or stuff like that. I respect people like that do good, and I'm happy to meet them. But I believe everybody's kind of equal. Everybody's doing their work, and I love some people, like, when they're doing the work and helping people. I respect it.
Fuck yeah. Now, as you're watching this or listening to it, you want to press pause, go over a few things. I wanted to extrapolate some of the finer points, the bullet points, really, of what Mike is laying down. So the first thing that we went into was comparison is a thief of joy. He starts to talk about the foundation. And by the way, male or female watching this, it pretty much applies. The idea of the men in Manifest Destiny came along the lines because there is a little bit of weird imbalance right now in the information that's being put out there. But I digress. Let's go back to what we're talking about. Bullet points. Comparison is a thief of joy. So as a guy or man, dude, whatever you choose to call yourself, definitely take a moment to realize what he gets into is, like, if you take a moment to realize that if you're constantly comparing, it's a fruitless labor. It's a zero-sum game. You're not really getting anything. You're not gaining anything. It's okay to learn from exterior and variables and so on, but if you're sitting there comparing to yourself, it's a fool's errand. After that, he goes into roles and responsibilities. And what that means is, like, some people are so focused on hierarchies. Mike is basically saying we have a collaboration. And even it's funny, too, because we arrived there from two different experiences, but we came to the same idea of collaboration. Next thing after that is power is balance. The real power that you're going to have, that gut, that unfuckable with, it comes down to balance. We talked about male and feminine energy. Definitely dig it deeper into that. And as he said, study the other side, study people that are not like you, that completely contradict your nature, because there's something to learn there from everyone. And another one that I personally love is my personal mantra, which is create, don't compete. That's why you focus on your foundation, your core, because then you're only focused on creating. You're not focused on competing or comparison or anything, because you're just creating and manifesting. Another one is that learn the difference between anecdotal, right, and common. Anecdotal means my experience, Mike's experience. We're talking from anecdotally having our experiences, our perspectives. We're not saying that this is the way it is. So if you're noticing that you're triggered by an opinion, why the hell does it trigger you? That's something to look into. And then after that, we started talking about the toxic versus tonic.
To put more emphasis on opinion and stuff, I think that now society, everybody is so sensitive. They don't take time to hear people. They hear one thing that they don't like. They
react.
In everything, business, relationship, politics, why are you so emotionally triggered? Like, you can't even have conversation with people anymore. Like, bro, it's okay. One of my best friend has a different politic opinion and different business opinion than me, and is one of my business partner and stuff. And we're always laughing, and I'm making joke on him. He's making joke, and I don't take it personal, because he has the right to his opinion, and that's why we live in society. Like, everybody should have the right to their own opinion, and it's okay. Why? Like, that's one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally. Like, bro, what I'm saying is just my vision of thing, and why I'm not attached to it is because what I think now in 10 years from now could change. Like, I could have a totally different experience in a business that I put a woman in power in my business, and she did way better than men. And then I could be like, oh, okay, based of experience, this is working amazing with a woman in power here. And this, if I put a man here, I see more result. And you could see different experience. So at the end of the day, it's based on experience, like you said, and people tend to judge and get so sensitive about that stuff.
And exploration is the difference between tonic and toxic. I'm glad that you said that, because that is where we're wrapping up things. Is there's tonic and then there's toxic. Like right now, there's been toxic masculinity that's everywhere. In fact, you've even had people say, hey, there's toxic femininity, and so on and so on. The tonic, the solution that I have noticed, and even in talking to you, I'm seeing like, oh shit, there's something to that theory, is that is just shutting the fuck up and listening to each other. We got there to the same conclusion, and you and I got there completely different avenues. But we literally are sitting at the same page and looking at him like, yeah. And as we say that, look up something called Ikigai, 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 and it's something that's really cool. It's an Eastern from Japan. It's basically like, what am I good at? What is the world going to pay me for? And what do I love doing? And long story short, I think that you should at least give it a try. And if you already have, revisit it. Maybe you did it wrong the first time. Maybe you'll find that your approach changed. As we wrap up, I wanted to give you the floor and ask you a question, man. Over the next 12 years, because you're focused on here and the now. But let's indulge me for a second. In the next 12 months, what's something you're really looking forward in the next 12 months? What's something you're looking forward to and grateful for yourself?
Helping more people. Now I'm building Road to Abundance, which for me, the power comes to focusing on yourself. Like you said, if you don't compare and you focus on yourself, you can evolve as a human. So increase your vibration, becoming a better person, becoming a better human. And if you want to compare yourself to the person you were the day before and a month before. So what I'm excited for is helping even more people to get in tune with their happiness, their abundance, and seeing what really life is about. Like when you get rid of all the ego and all the toxic stuff. So that I'm really excited about it. So I launched Road to Abundance. I want to help as many people as I can. That's my focus for the next 12 months. I'm moving into a house with my girl. So like,
nice, congrats.
Yeah, I was moving from LA. So we just moved to her place. We went in Montreal for the summer. So I'm excited for just moving in a house, settling down a little bit more, and just like having even a better relationship, like building something big with her, and just improving my companies and stuff. So I'm super driven right now. I found what I was my purpose, and your purpose can change. That's what I want to tell people, young people, like women and men, it doesn't matter. Your purpose can change. What you find at 21, 22, 25, it can change, and you can do it for a few years and then be like, okay, I'm ready for a change, and change your purpose.
That's okay.
So I want to help people to get in tune with themselves and raise the vibration of the consciousness. And I'm writing 2 books. So this is starting now. I'm just finding like the right people, and so super excited for those projects. and just I keep working on myself. I'm gonna host a conference, like an event, in next year, and I'm also gonna start hosting like breathwork live event, so on Instagram and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm doing now, is just helping people to realize like that we're all amazing human, and to get in touch with yourself.
I look forward to checking that out, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, dude. And I'm glad that we touched on this topic. Although we do talk a lot about, business and so on. Remember, Active Minds, and I've said this to you a million times. I don't know what episode you're up to, but if you've never watched this episode, I'm going to say it again. Active Minds, our whole goal here is to explore and learn to the perspective and experiences of those that are paving their own lane. Then we brainstorm a little bit. We have a little fun with it. We see what their experiences can teach us and how we can apply it to ourselves. And of course, the whole idea of that is for us to move smarter together. I want to give a huge thanks to Hands-Free Gummies, Hands-Free Automation, and Vegan Gummies. I butchered that. They're going to be like, what are you doing? So Hands-Free Automation and Vegan Gummies have been an awesome sponsor and friend, keeping this machine moving forward, putting us in front of people like Mike Chabot. And of course, you. Please remember, as we wrap this up, move smarter together. Create. Don't compete. Stop fucking comparing, and let us know how it goes. Catch you in the next time.
So guys, as we're wrapping up, we want to remind you that we have our membership program now available on activemindsclub.com.
activemindsclub.com. Grab yourself a seat. See you there.